Ma'am, as a senator, I will raise my voice of concern and apprehension. I'm against the deployment of nuclear warheads. We know for a fact that if you use that, it will be the end of the world. I do not think that any country would agree to the use of nuclear warheads. We have to use international diplomacy on whatever problems we have. We cannot be threatening people or countries with deployment of warheads. That is precisely why we have international diplomacy. We have to use negotiation table to solve whatever differences we have between countries.
Thank you.
We'll follow up. Okay. Thank you, Attorney Panelo. Ms. Legarda.
Having been the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate, Professor Carlos, and our dear audience, I would always take into consideration the dimensions of foreign policy, namely economic, political, the welfare of overseas Filipinos, not just in Japan, but in all areas who will be affected by the deployment of these warheads, as well as perhaps cultural diplomacy. And every stretch of that must be exhausted. As a student and administrator of national security, I would also take into consideration the 5 dimensions of national security, which would include socio-economic, political, even religious, and ecological dimension. All of these have to be discussed, not just by one senator, but the 24-man and woman Senate and the whole Congress, so that the chief executive could be advised accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Roque.
As a professor of international law, I submit that nuclear weapons are illegal. 1, because they are incapable of distinction under the law of international humanitarian law. And number 2, they cause serious, superfluous injury and unnecessary suffering. I am therefore against putting nuclear warheads in Japan. Secondly, it could run contrary not only to our constitution, which prescribes that the Philippines shall be a nuclear-free zone, it also runs contrary against an ASEAN treaty declaring the whole of ASEAN as nuclear-free. Number 3, in terms of foreign policy, I believe that there should be strict adherence with the UN Charter. There should be strict adherence with Article 2.4 of that Charter, which prohibits the use of force, and the mere possession of nuclear weapons could constitute the threat of use of force, which is equally prohibited under the UN Charter, in the same way that actual use of force is prohibited. I enjoin all countries to comply with Article 2.3 of the UN Charter, which encourages everyone to resolve disputes peacefully.
But Harry, if this comes as part of the package of the Quad, what will your stand be?
As of now, we're not part of Quad, and I'm glad we're not. Because if we become part of Quad, we would inevitably be involved in an arms race and might be involved in a conflict that will not have anything to do with our national interests. Our national interest is to achieve prosperity, to be friends with our neighbors in particular. We have no fight with any country, and we have no wish to be dragged into any armed conflict.
But since your mutual defense treaty has not been abrogated and is still in force, we continue to be a defense ally of the U.S. So
we are, but for all intents and purposes, that's a dead treaty. Because when China took away 2 of our islands, the United States did not come to our assistance. That's a dead treaty.
Thank you.